Now that sounds like a deal.
You literally, okay, so
There's no intro.
welcome
music.
to another episode of Thinking with Mike, and I just want to talk about this, that you changed all the buttons. We used to have a cool intro music song that you've now replaced with your stupid voice.
It wasn't cool.
Wait,
It was never cool.
it was better than that. So now I'm really bummed out because there used to be a really nice song that would gently ease you into this podcast. And if I'm being honest, that was the best part of this entire podcast.
I think we should have Nick. Nick, listen. I need you to upload Amish Paradise into this. Okay.
Little Weird Al.
And that's what we're going to get our rolling with.
Did you see that movie? Did you see the Weird Al movie?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, you just saved us from a humongous detour.
Where are we starting? Okay. What is going on, you guys? This is another episode of Thinking with Mike, and it's been a couple of weeks since I've had Ken on because we got busy. And although I'm pretty doggone regimented with my calendar and schedule, if anybody ever teaches you in real estate, like a coach, it's like, you got to specify this time to do X, Y, and Z. It breaks because a reasonable person, incoming business, showings happen, and it wipes out those things. And so you just put them on pause, man.
You do.
And so that's why we're paused, man. We had a busy couple of weeks. How's your last couple of weeks been?
It's been good. We have, for those that don't know, we have 4 kids. All of them went back to school this week. And we had a kindergartner going into kindergarten this week, today. So I'm going to throw my wife a little under the proverbial bus here. And I left my house this morning with my wife just crying on the porch. And I'm a horrible, like, have you ever seen 30 Rock? Like the show 30 Rock with Alec Baldwin?
But not
he's
a lot of it.
consoling Tina Fey with the broom. They're there. That's kind of how I feel like I am when I'm like trying to help the situation. It's like, you are very bad at this. Please leave.
Yep.
You know? So yeah, it's been emotional. But here's what's crazy. So that the life part has been busy. But yeah, real estate's been weirdly active. And here's the other thing is, you always, like, I think in the mortgage and real estate world, we're always like, especially when we're in slower seasons, we're like, well, just wait until the Super Bowl. It's going to get really busy after the Super Bowl. Well, just you wait until the first snowfall. You know, it's like all these things, that is proverbial busy signal, when it's like, no, like, consumers are going to do what the hell they want, whenever the hell they want, and it's just going to happen.
If you're in real estate long enough, you realize there's these collective runs in buyer and seller activity.
Yes.
It just kind of goes like this. Everybody does it, and then everybody.
It's really weird. It is herd mentality. Not like herd mentality,
Totally is.
but like
It's
it's just like
absolutely
everything like kind of goes together. It's weird.
So you find out that this is where consistency comes into play when you're in the sales business, is that you can't necessarily force anything to happen now or on your clock, but you can be there so that as these ebbs and flows show themselves, you're there and you're ready to ride the wave. Now, there are other, like, times that things happen. So like spring market, right? Holiday season, things plummet. Spring market sales go up. But anyway, so we caught that wave last week, and here's what's different right now, and this is why it was unexpected, because typically the month or a few weeks leading into school starting, like Ken was talking about, generally speaking, kind of slow down a little bit as everybody kind of hunkers down. They do their last minute summer trips. They start shopping for school. And they say, all right, we're staying here for now. And then you start saying, wait till next spring. But we didn't have it last week.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Those consumers, generally speaking, haven't really been in our marketplace anyways.
No. Right.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that leads really, really well into something that we were talking about on the phone, that like this wasn't like a podcast idea. It was just like a conversation we had, which is like, whether you've bought a home, sold a home, whatever, I feel like we always have like those family members that just start talking about stuff that they have no idea what they're talking about. Like I had a dad the other day, and I'm a dad. I'm going to have a hard time not giving my kids real estate advice. We talked about this. You're going to stay out of Luna's transaction when she buys a house for the most part, right?
I don't know.
Say that.
It's probably going to be
not going to freaking happen. You're going to come with a checklist and your Dickies pants, and you're going to point out all this shit, and you're going to be that guy that you've always talked about. And I said that too. I said, I don't want to be the dad that comes in and is like, well, you should talk to them about is this a recastable loan and paying point? Here's the problem. I know I'm going to do it. I'm just going to get that out of the way. But here's what drives me nuts. We had a few weeks ago, we had a client, really good friend of mine. That's why I'm telling this story. And not dad, but uncle got involved. And uncle's like, well, it's not the right time to be buying a house. Traditionally, end of summer is not a good time. I'm like, what the hell are you? What? Why? Well, just it's not the right time. I'm like, I actually disagree with you on multiple levels. Like, if you are selling a home and your home hits the market at the end of August, like when everyone's going back to school, that to me tells me that you kind of have to move, right?
Yep.
And like, I will agree, listing a home on Friday, the weekend of Labor Day, is kind of a bold move, but
It's a stupid move.
it can be. But dude, I had buyers out this weekend looking, and we scored some deals. And so that's what I was saying. It's like, we were talking about the difference between timing the market and being an opportunistic buyer. And I think this is a really important point to make. And I'm going to let you give your take on this. But like, opportunity buyers are the ones that they have an agenda, they have goals like everybody else, but they're not being constrained or crippled or held back by some imaginary and honestly completely non-existent ability to time the right deal. Okay. So I've got clients that were trying to time the market that a year ago would have been at a 5.49% rate. And now that we're at 7,
and prices are up, by the way.
Prices are up. Like, the market didn't crash, and I can't wait, to see the number of people that are like, oh crap, market never crashed. Well, I don't know. What's your take on that?
Anybody who's trying to time the market, who has timed the market through time, guess what? They're never buyers. They're just speculators that sit on the sidelines and they soothe their brain and try to impress the people around them by saying that they're like this wise authority of like perfect timing. And they're never buyers. They're just people who are just sitting and waiting forever.
Speculators.
And what's crazy about that is a lot of that like timing people are also current homeowners. Okay. And if you know anything about like timing the market over the last decade, is that any single time has been perfectly fine to buy it. And so they have this experience of like, they forget that when they bought their house, like, it was scary. It wasn't perfect. It was like it looked like the market was going to come down more or whatever. And they did it anyways. And they sit in their house and then they forget about that experience. So I don't know why people transition into that, or you have the renters who just speculate forever as their rent goes up forever.
Yeah.
The difference between like the speculator, which I say is a non-buyer, and a buyer is just the difference between one person constantly finding out why not to, and the other person saying, well, if, then I will.
So I have an amazingly perfect analogy for this, okay? And I want you guys to think about this when we talk about the difference between opportunistic advice and time the market advice, okay? And I mean this. This is important because there's a lot of crap out there. There really is. If you're ever on Facebook and you go down the shorts rabbit hole, like I unfortunately have, Facebook shorts, you will, within 5 minutes of scrolling, come to a short of someone coming at you going, hey guys, I want to talk to you about how I made $13,000 this last month doing absolutely nothing. And then they start to spew this completely ridiculous thing. I leveraged a business credit card to buy that, and I invested in crypto, and I did. And you're just like, you're watching this, and unfortunately, there are a lot of people that like they've got views up the wazoo, and it's like complete bullshit. Okay, that is what timing the market is, because the truth is there is no one, and I mean this all the way up to the Fed level, that could probably tell you with good certainty when there's going to be the perfect time to buy. The compression of home prices, the expansion of inventory, the reduction in interest rate, the affordability, the wage earn, just the perfect storm. And you can't get there without luck. I'm just going to put it there. So that's just the truth.
Dude, even then, like, you look at the worst case scenario of buying timing in the last 15 years, okay? And you see the peak of the market in 2009.
Yep.
Okay? If you'd have bought there at the peak, worst case scenario, held the asset,
You were still making
you probably have somewhere around 50% gains on your money. Okay?
The worst time to ever buy a home would have been 2008, 2009.
Yep.
And if you would have just held it, you would have been fine.
You'd
And the waiting would have gotten you to a 2.875%
by now, at this point, had you held that and you wanted to keep holding it, you would have had an opportunity to do a cash or refinance. You would have taken all of your principal out 2020 to 2022, and you'd be refixed into a mortgage at a 2.8%.
Oh, God.
So you'd be into that property. Worst case scenario for $0, and you'd probably be sitting on, I don't know, 20 to 40% equity. It's more about time in the market than it is time in the market. And it always is that way. And so you're either a buyer or you're a speculator that looks good to your friends, I guess. Well, or you don't. You look like a fool and your friends are like, yeah, okay, like whatever. And they go and buy all their stuffs and they grow their wealth and they do their thing. That being said, if you're a homeowner who's enjoying their house, suits their needs, like you don't have to move.
Yeah, don't participate.
We're always talking to
That doesn't
people
make sense.
who would benefit significantly from a move.
Yeah.
That's who we're talking about.
Yep.
It's people who are relocating. It's downsizers. You know, the boomers. That's a big buyer. That's a big selling pool of us right now. So boomers are either downsizing, right, into something smaller, more manageable, or they're going into retirement community living. So like more of a carefree living style, or they're relocating to like Florida's or Arizona's or something like that, or they're getting closer to their family because their family's moved, right?
Yep.
Huge consumer. So that consumer in all of those different situations would benefit extremely from selling their property. We have relocations, another one. Okay, your company's moving out of the state. You have your house. You're going to sell it.
I've gotten a lot of calls for that lately.
Yeah.
Like a lot of relocation.
Obviously, somebody moving states on a relo would benefit from selling that property. And then you have people who have significant down payment. A lot of our first-time home buyers are doing that right now. The ones that we're selling to first-time buyers, they're 20% down. They've been careful with their money. They realize that the pricing, even though it's elevated, is being super artificially suppressed right now. So they're buying anyways.
So I've been doing this job now for going on like my 11th year. And every year we hold a badass client party. We really do. It's always just a banger. Like hundreds of people, like being a Hancock Group client, I would do it just for the party, if I'm being honest.
Totally.
Like it's an awesome party, okay? And we obviously, that's a great time for us to connect, and like we love our clients, like genuinely like love our clients. So like I love going there and like giving hugs and shaking hands. In the 8 or 9 of these that I participated in, okay, and averaging anywhere between 150 and 200 clients for the last 9 years, the number one line I hear in every single conversation I have with every single client, and this is not a joke, is I'm so glad I bought when I did. I'm so glad I bought for what I did. Now think about that. That is over the span of almost 9 years
10, 12.
in eight or 9 different markets in 2 or 3 very different types of economies at different interest rate levels and whatever. And the common theme is I'm really glad I bought when I did. Oh, I'm so glad I did that when I did. Because when you've got something that's kind of doing this, like year over year over year over year, whether you get on here or you get on here, there's a pretty good chance that up here, you're going to be like, oh, thank God I did that when I did.
Yep.
I've never had someone go to me, man, sure didn't time the market right. That sucks. You know, I have not had that. And if you think about that in the grand scheme of things, and this is coming from a team that, you know, we interact with hundreds of clients, and I can count on one hand the number of times I've had a client that's like, oh, I really, really should not have entered the market when I did. I'm really glad I really should have timed the market better. Like, it's just amazing to me that is a common theme, that they are never upset looking ahead 3 years or looking backwards from when they bought to 3 years, 2 years, 5 years back, that they were happy that they bought when they did. You know what I mean? And at that time, they were feeling the same as everybody else. I'm fearful for this market. Oh, what if rates whoa, back when rates were 3%, the rate wasn't the problem. It was this market's going to crash. It's going to crash. It's going to crash, right?
Or we're not selling our house and moving because it's too vicious.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to fight for a house like that. I'm paying 50, 100K over to get into the property.
But the clients that did are happy that they did it.
Yeah, it's because because the market has substantiated that pricing. So, and that's why we don't have listings right now. And that's why we haven't had listings for the last several years, is because sellers went, oh, don't want to sell our house because it's too vicious buying back in. Mm-hmm. Okay. And now they're saying, we don't want to sell our house because interest rates are too high and there's nothing for sale.
Yep. And
so there's always a reason. And what I can say, and I just had a conversation with a couple of my clients right now. They're thinking about some new construction and talking about speculating. They're comfortable in their house, but it's probably not the right fit. I just encouraged them. I said, you can take speculation off the table, largely speaking. Okay. Oh. The number one thing that you can anchor on as your family is that you can pick the specific point in time, whether that's now or in the future, like that time in the future. And you can ask yourself, does the down payment match our family's budget? Does the monthly payment match our family's budget in this exact moment in time? And if it does, great, green light. And if it doesn't, then it's a red light.
Yep.
It's fairly simple, and it doesn't matter what's gonna happen tomorrow, what happened yesterday. It's right now is the only time you ever get to buy a house, is this exact moment. Mm-hmm. Yep. And so that's it. And then you can just fill in the blanks from watching the United States housing market over the last 100 years and go, if I'm going to hold this property, history would tell me that it's fine.
History and forecasting tells you that, you know what I mean? Yep. It's not just fine. I actually think it's a problem in the other direction. I think those who are in a home in the next few years are going to be extraordinarily happy that they did that when they did that, and that they're in their forever home.
Yep.
Not and again, not everyone's in a position to be in their forever home in 5 years, but man, I guess if you want a little doomsdaying, I do feel, and this is my opinion, this is not whatever, this is just my opinion, is I'm a little worried about what's going to be available and the options that are going to be available to my kids. Because, man, it's you need a house. That is a basic human need, is you need a roof over your head. And, I'll be honest with you, having participated in the stock market over the last 2 years, I'm I don't need effing bonds. It's just pissed me off 24/7. I'm just mad. I see no value in it. I don't come home to a bond. I don't huddle in after, hide from a big storm in the basement of my bond. Nope. This is I can live in this shit, and it's important. It's got utility, actual utility, real utility. And we just haven't been building enough of these. We just haven't been building enough to satisfy that need. So I guess we'll just wrap up by saying, guys, it's just on our minds today to just bring this to you. When you need to move, when you've got that itch, that you don't need Mike or I to tell you it's time to move. You're adults. You can come to that conclusion. What you do need to do is you do need to get rid of this idea that the financial influencers out there know something more than me or you or whatever. They don't. You buy when it's right for you, and you buy when the opportunity presents itself. Leverage certain strategies within real estate, looking at homes on a Monday or a Tuesday instead of on a Thursday or Friday. Not a bad move. That's opportunistic. You'll typically find more deals then in this market, and just follow the advice of your agent and your lender and the people that do this day in and day out. That's really it.
Yeah. Our job is to not convince you to move or not to move. My job is to make the best of your moving action whenever the time is right for your family. So right now, we know exactly what's going on in the marketplace. What are the challenges? What are the benefits to moving right now? We maximize the benefits and we reduce the challenges. That's it. Yep. That's all that it ever is, whether it was 2020 or today. Our goal is to make selling and buying maximizing benefits, period. That's it. So if you guys would benefit from move, need to, or you have, parents or friends that need to move right now, get a hold of us.
Yeah, we're here.
We'll make it awesome.
See you guys soon.